What's up? What's up? What's up, everybody? This is Real DWC, and we are live on BJJ Addict Radio. Wait, I already said my name. Where's Jer?
I'm right here.
Yeah,
Jero LP. What's happening, guys?
Are you asking them? Was that rhetorical, or are you asking me?
I was asking both of you guys.
Okay. So, I'm alright. I'm feeling great. For those that don't know, should I tell them what happened over the weekend?
Let's do it.
You break the news. I don't want to brag.
All right. So, I said no to my fast food. No, I'm just kidding. Our very own host, Real DWC, a.k.a. David Carroll, is a now purple belt in the art of Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu.
Man.
Which is pretty big news considering the fact that we had a show actually.
Was it Mr. Owen that said it? Keith Owen?
I'm not sure. But he said something like...
Or Pete Roberts?
Yeah.
Somebody
on the show once said that 70 to 80% of the people don't make it past the blue belt.
That's right, yeah.
Mr. Carroll here has achieved something very special. So, congrats.
Thank you.
Mon ami.
Thank you. Thank you very much. It's been a long time. Hard work. I look at back and I realize,
Tell us what it feels like to be a...
Well, have you ever had your balls cupped?
No.
Feels like that. No. I'm just joking. I'm trying to throw you off. I'm trying to throw you for the loop. To be honest, though, it's crazy because I look how long I've been doing it for a while, and I don't know when you're ever ready for anything, but I can't believe people that are 5-year black belts.
Yeah.
To be honest, if you threw a purple around my waist last year, I would have been murdered. Even right now, I might get murdered, but at least I feel ready a little bit more. So some people, they just got the knack for it. I'm a slow learner. Me, I have to do work, a lot of hard work.
Do you feel, now that you got your belt, that you feel a little bit hungrier, or if not more hungrier than you were as a blue belt?
I don't know if it's hungrier or I just gotta be on my toes a bit more. In my head, I shouldn't care, but right now I kind of don't want to be anyone's bragging rights. So
what you're saying?
Because I remember way back, even at blue or when you're white, you see those higher belts and their targets. In your head, you think you're like, oh man, I just tapped that guy. It's a stupid attitude to have, but it happens, right? At lower belts sometimes. So,
I think
sometimes friendly gesture, being lazy could be a
bite you in the ass.
Yeah, exactly.
Misleading, yeah.
Yeah, I don't want people to diss me.
I think white belt is a stage of purity. I think that's when, maybe not necessarily ego driven, but I think as you progress, do you think, as you progress through the belts, the colored belts that you have, you start to build a little bit more ego?
And somewhat. No, I can't say that. I think me, it was the opposite. I think I felt invincible, and then every couple months my shield gets worn off until I'm weaponless and shieldless, and I just have my hands and stuff. So I feel I feel very humble even right now. So
yeah,
I've been humbled a lot over the years. I'm a little less hungry than when I started as far as aggressiveness, so it's pretty cool. But I've been keeping my eyes open since I got my purple. I already put in more work than the usual week, so just trying to focus on the things that will actually make me look like a purple, and whatever that means, right?
What do you hope to achieve
at perp?
At perp?
Oh man, I've never won a tournament in my life, so I would like to win a tournament this year. I competed a lot last year, and I started late in the tournament season, January, February, March, April. So I started 5 months in, and I didn't compete at all in December. So I can't do the math that good, how many months that is. But I went on a tear for 5, 6, 7 months. I say I did 2 tournaments a month, if not more. And
hey, just keep in mind, Philippe Costa.
Never to black belt.
Never.
That was an inspirational story, to be honest. Not only that was a funny interview. Man, yeah, I plan on winning a tournament, and you know, it's not Worlds. I'll tell you that much. That tournament that I want to win. So
Never say never, you know.
no, but like it's hard to win Worlds when you don't go.
Oh, yeah, it's true. Especially when it's all the way in California.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. So a tournament I want to win, just want to win. Like think about that. Like it's crazy because I don't care if it's just me in the bracket. I still never won a tournament. I've showed up to tournaments and it's just me, and you know they're like, "Do you really want to? Do you really want this gold medal, sir?"
Yeah.
In my head, I'm like, maybe. Should I say no or should I say yes? So I've been bumped up in categories or bumped down or bumped wherever. You get bumped when you are a one-man division in certain tournaments. So I would like to win a tournament at purple belt. I think that that's pure ego right there. I think that's just a ego-driven goal. I think personally.
Are you scared or nervous getting your brown belt? Now,
I'm not even thinking about that. So
you're not thinking about it yet?
No. But I'll focus on purple right now, and I just want to be better than I was at blue. Let's just put it that way. Whatever I did at blue that I think was good, I just want to do better. I want to work more on my no-gi game now. Start focusing on that. I barely focused on it the last couple of years.
One advice you'd give to somebody to make it to purple?
To make it to purple, my advice since I just got there would be stay consistent. That's it.
Deep.
That's my advice. Consistency really pays off. I'll tell you that much. And repetitions. And it's true what they say though about the basics, man.
Yeah.
They're come in handy. So that's about it. I dream of doing fancy things. I'm not gonna lie. I love beer and bowls. We talk about them. I love doing flashy, whatever you want to do. Some inverted rolling, but that will never win me anything. I don't think so.
You can't build a house without good foundation.
Jerowell, you are sounding wonderful today with that quote.
Thank you. It's been a good day.
Yeah. For those that can tell, I'm not as hyper today. Me and Jared just did a marathon 10-minute rolls every round for about 6-7 rounds. I'm very relaxed, so this is my relaxed voice.
It's juicy.
All right, should we get him?
Oh, by the way, today we have, if you guys don't have us on Twitter or Facebook, we are in fact interviewing black belt Dan Covel.
Yes. I think Dan Covel, yes. I was going to say, I wonder if he goes by Daniel Covel, but so we'll call him up right now. So all I know about this man is that, I was supposed to see him grapple live before. I'm sure he's been at tournaments before, so, that's all right. And, man, this guy represents Marcelo Garcia from what I can tell right now. So, are you a little nervous? Would you be nervous representing someone like that from his dojo or what?
Yeah, it would be. It's a lot of weight on your shoulders.
Do you think really you go out there and you go out there and you have a Drysdale patch on your gi, but and you don't train with Drysdale per se on a daily basis. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So you're not at his main academy and stuff like that. So we're gonna call Dan in a bit, guys. Sorry about that, Daniel. If you're listening, we'll hit you up in a second. We just gotta set some stuff up. So yeah. So are you, this guy's right from his academy, and people know that. Do you feel you have to live up to some expectation, to perform like him, or at least show a certain level of skill?
I don't know.
You don't know?
I don't really know. I've never had to really...
Even though you don't train with Drysdale on a main... we get to see him at seminars, and you don't make it out to Vegas to train at headquarters, or... Still, do you feel something different, though, when you're out on the mats and you have that patch on your back? Do you feel like people are going, oh, man, that's a Drysdale. Like, do you feel like you have to live up to a certain standard, though?
Yeah, I think so. Like, I think I have to represent what I know
Yeah.
based on, what we do in class.
Yeah.
And if I do something completely different that doesn't look like something that team would do,
Yeah.
then, I think it's team pride.
Yeah. How much do you care about looking like your instructor?
I think...
Or like your affiliate instructor or whatever, like represent Drysdale. How important do you think it is to do stuff that Drysdale would do? Or do you think it's just his knowledge and doing your own shit still?
I think, honestly, it's an individual sport.
Yeah.
You're there representing your team and yourself, but, in theory, things change on the mat, man.
That's good. Let's start this off. Dan Covel.
Yes.
Welcome to BJJ Addict Radio. Thanks for calling in.
How are you guys doing?
Oh, we're excellent. How are you?
Great, thanks. Thanks for having me.
No problem. Let's just start this off with what we were talking about already, and then we'll kind of go backwards because that's how we roll. We were just talking about representing our team or our instructor, and we were wondering how important it is to roll, like especially you at a black belt level, up to their standard, or even do you think you have to look similar? That's what I'm trying to get at. Is it important to look similar, or is it important to carry their theory around and still really be an individual?
I think it's the second part of that. I think it is really being an individual, because I think more so than anything else, it gets lost on a lot of people when they get involved in grappling, or Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu in particular, is that it's an art. And you can be taught to do an arm bar or, pass or sweep, any particular, way. But the interpretation that you make it your own, I think that's really important. But it is also very important to instill the theories and the beliefs, the philosophy of your instructor. They put a lot of time and effort into making those adjustments in their game and to pass them on to you. I think it's not necessarily rude, but I think it's very it's unbecoming of you to just dismiss those. There's a lot of work that goes into like a theory from an instructor. Especially my instructor currently is Marcelo Garcia. I would be remiss just to be like, I know he does this way, or I know he has this viewpoint on it, if I don't at least look into it and see it from his side of things.
That's well put. So when you go compete, how much added pressure it is when you're going on the mats and you're representing Marcelo Garcia. That's one of the things that caught my eye about you about a year ago. I've heard about you, and I kept keeping an eye on you and seeing what you've been up to, and you competed a lot this year. But when everyone sees that name, they expect gold. So do you feel that pressure?
Not necessarily. More or less, what I do feel is I want to go out there and do as well as I can. This is a sport where not everyone's going to win. You're going to have days where you're really on, especially at the black belt level. There's a really small amount of guys out there that are going to be favorites to win every time they step in the mat. Marcelo being one, Hodger being another, a few others out there. But besides that, I say vast majority of people, it really depends upon who performs the best that day. It's like whose day it is. And as long as I perform up to my standards, as long as I give it my all and I really push my game on the other person, if I still come up short, then I come up short. But, my belief behind that is Marcelo will support me as long as I try my hardest. And I always have that in the back of my mind. I know he expects us to win because he puts so much time and effort getting us prepared for events, but it's not necessarily something that I think if we don't win, or in particular me, I can only speak for myself, that if I don't win, I don't think I'm letting him down per se, just as long as I give him my best shot I'm satisfied with that.
That's great. By the way, there's two guests on this, two hosts, I should say, myself that's been talking to you, David, and of course, Jeroel here. So, Jer's got a question.
Hello. How exactly did you end up getting into Marcelo Garcia's teaching?
Well, that's a pretty good question. It's twofold. When I started, Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu at the academy that has basically been my home for many years is in upstate New York, Syracuse. Ken Cronenberg owns that academy. It's called Taikai, and it's a Balance affiliate. And Ken competed in 2003 Abu Dhabi, the same year that Marcelo kind of broke out. He brought Marcelo to the United States to teach for like 2-week stint in the mid-2000s, and then he's brought him up a number of times since. And I always told Marcelo, if I ever ended up living in New York City, that's the only place I'd want to train. I've built a rapport with him over the years. I've got to know him, and it just so happens my wife wanted to go to school in Columbia, at Columbia University here in New York City, and we ended up in New York City, and it was just a natural progression for me. If I was going to be here, I was only going to train with him, not only because I had known him for some time prior, but I really do believe in what he's doing, and I really do believe he's giving, bar none, the most back to his students. He's there every day. He has a general interest. He's vested interest in you as a student and as a friend of his to do well in every respect of your life, but especially on the mat. He really spends a lot of time with everyone.
How did you get into the sport of Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu?
Well, I've been participating in judo since I was a pretty young guy, and it was kind of it was a progression for me that I went from judo and was getting burned out and competing in judo because I felt judo had become so subjective. It was almost like figure skating. You'd throw somebody, and if the ref didn't like it or one of the other corner refs didn't like it, they wouldn't give you the full ippon for it. You'd be walking away with some kind of score that you didn't feel was actually right for the throw that you performed. Blah blah blah. And I was burned out on that. Mixed martial arts was just on the rise. I just had turned 17 in January of 1999, and I fought my first mixed martial art fight in February. I was still in high school. From there, I got into Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu from there because I still really enjoyed competing in just strictly grappling events, and I saw Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu as that apex of grappling events because they put so much emphasis on finishing. There was position to the submission, and there was so much more finality when it came to competing in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu as opposed to judo, from my experience, because of that emphasis on finishing, pushing the pace, trying to get the submission. It was the better man was going to typically win out in that situation. So that's the reason that I got into it, and I got into it. I had been 20, right about 20 years of age.
Wow, that's crazy. Do you find having a background in judo was a great foundation for BJJ, or not at all?
I think it was. And I think if you ask a lot of my current teammates and former training partners that I've had over the years, a lot of people will tell you, like, especially my grip strength is something that I developed from judo, and having an awareness of certain things prior to getting into Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, where some guys get into Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu never playing any other sport besides hockey, baseball, football, something like that. So grappling is kind of foreign to them, whereas you come from a judo background or a wrestling background, you have a basic instinct, even though the rules are different and it dictates the action. I think you still are much further ahead, and I personally felt like it gave me a huge benefit and a step up over many people. I enjoyed going for the takedown. I'm not a big guard puller. I like fighting from my feet. Grip fighting is always something that you're aware of because of your judo background. That's big. Those type of situations are ingrained in you, and I think when you go into Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, you are ahead of the curve with respect to that.
Nice. And New York City, I mean, home with some of the greatest dojos. How is the BJJ scene, being that you live in New York, not from someone on the outside looking in? Is there a lot of local tournaments, or is it just the New York Open or like the Abu Dhabi Pro Trials go through? There's a lot of stuff happening for the competitors?
There's actually quite a bit. There was just a tournament this past weekend in the deep recesses of Brooklyn somewhere that you couldn't even take a subway train to. You could take it to one stop, then you had to walk or take a bus to the rest of the way. There's quite a bit of a local scene in terms of competing, but nothing like a Southern California situation where you have not only majority of the major IBJJF events taking place, but you also have some other bigger name, Grappler's Quest that take place there, or the South Bay Open, or something along those lines. But it is starting to make headway with it. I believe Shaolin puts on a tournament called the Big Apple, and that's starting to gain some traction with competitors. You guys know David Aguzzi is running Grappler Industries, and he is now looking to make headway into this area. And that's a tournament that, just from me mentioning it to people, everyone's really excited and looking forward to that because of how good of a job that Grappling Industries has done with their tournament so far. People are looking forward to making the scene, as it is, much larger. Because there are, as you had already mentioned, there's a large number of schools in New York City, but you also think about the tri-state area as well, northern New Jersey, Connecticut, even into Philadelphia a little bit. There's a large number of competitors in high-level schools just condensed down within 100 miles. And I think the higher-level tournaments that they keep pushing in the city, it's just going to push the level of competition up that much further.
Absolutely. We had Guzzi on last week. He's a friend of ours, and really, really great format to really gain experience. I've never got that many matches in a year. It would take me about 20 tournaments to gain that much experience, and I got it in about 4 or 5 of them. So it was a cool thing. So, sorry about that. I see that now that you lately been teaching some seminars. Was this an odd thing for you to do, or have you always looked forward to spreading your own knowledge to other gyms?
I guess I've never even really thought about it with respect to that. I was supposed to do one for David last year when they were trying to set up a super fight for one of his tournaments, and that all fell apart on us because the opponent pulled out, so on and so forth. And then people saw that I was doing them, and they started contacting me. So it's now that I'm doing them, I'm really enjoying them. I have to say it's something that it brings a lot of it brings a lot of different perspective for me to the sport, because it's not just one particular gym. It's not just like an Alliance, or it's not just a Marcelo Garcia, or it's just not a Balance gym. I'm getting to go to a variety of different gyms that have been associated with a variety of different teams over the time. In going there and showing what I do, and that's when I go and teach a seminar, that's really all I do. I don't go there to teach the move of the week or anything like that. I feel it's only right to teach what you do, because that's the strongest grasp you have on techniques, is to go there and show your game. And I get a lot of good feedback from everybody. So I actually really enjoy it, but it was never something that I set out to do. But I'm really thankful for the opportunity that many of these gyms are giving me at this point.
What is your game for those that don't know?
Well, my game, if I would like to always take someone down and work from the top and try to pass. But if I'm on the bottom, I'm a closed guard guy. Now, a lot of people look at that and they're just like, you're a closed guard guy, but you train at Marcelo's. Very true, but I find that closed guard for me has the highest success rate for the things that I'm trying to do, which is submit my opponent. Sweeping, butterfly guard allows for a lot of different dynamic movements. For me, across the board, I just find that no matter what, I can always find myself in closed guard, and I can have a lot of good success from there. and that's actually what I like to do. So closed guard is kind of, I don't know, quote unquote my thing, but it's something I really enjoy, and I find that there's a lot that goes into it. You know, a lot of people think of closed guard, especially from an MMA perspective, as like wrist control, and that's really not the way that I go about it. So when I go and teach these seminars or teach private lessons or whatever is going on, teach class, I show, you know, the way that I do it. And everyone kind of comes up to me afterwards like, oh, we really never thought about it that way. You know, we really never, you know, looked at it that way and how to break people down and so on and so forth. So that's my style.
Now that you've done these seminars, is there a little hunger to one day open up your own academy?
I would say yes, but I'm really content with what I'm doing right now. You know, I'm really enjoying competing. I'm really enjoying teaching at New York Sandai. I'm really enjoying doing the seminars that I'm having the opportunity to do, the private lessons. That's really my focus right now. I think having your own academy requires a lot of you to do it right. I've been very fortunate to train at specific schools that have had owners and head instructors that are so invested in those situations. I think that I want to be a little less selfish in terms of my own personal goals before I go down any type of path like that. But yeah, I think that's every martial artist, especially jiu-jitsu, you know, because we're so focused on lineage. You know, more than anything else, you know, when you speak to a jiu-jitsu guy, like, oh, where'd you get your black belt from? Who'd you get your black belt from? You can trace that line right back to the original source. And I think it almost goes right along with having a family. You know, guys get a little older. You never really thought about having kids when you were younger. Now you get a little older, now you're like, yeah, kids don't sound so bad. You know, you want to push your name down the line. And I think that goes for almost every athlete, especially in jiu-jitsu, because it can make that direct correlation with our lineage. I think that it's something that I would like to do, but who knows when that will happen, or if it does at all.
Who'd you get your black belt from?
Phil Megalis, the head of balance.
That's a beast right there. Those brothers they're phenomenal.
Yeah, they really are. I got my black belt from them. Like I had mentioned prior, we've been training at a Ken school in Syracuse, and Ken was I don't recall what I think he was just a first degree black belt, and as you guys are well aware, you have to go through those order of operations to give other people black belts. So Phil, you know, after a long period of time, was able to come up and evaluate all of us, and the ones that were at that point he gave black belts to. So that was a really high point in my jiu-jitsu career to get it from someone who's directly under Helson, who I have the utmost respect for, because Helson keeps it as real as humanly possible. You know, so get someone, especially Phil and Rick and their school and their organization. It's an incredible group of people to be associated with.
That's funny that you mention it, because I was actually going to bring that up next. Was about Helson, and I know he has a strong tie still with the self-defense part and how important it is to him. On your black belt test, was there lots of self-defense still?
No, there actually wasn't. You know, my black belt, you know, testing was more or less, you know, getting put through the ringer for 2 hours. There wasn't a you know, real push for self-defense. Excuse me, for us. I'm not exactly sure why that was or why that wasn't, but it just wasn't. It wasn't one of those things. But I do know that, like you had mentioned, Helson is a stickler for self-defense.
What are some of your favorite moments throughout your travels, you know, and journey to your black belt?
Oh, there's a lot. I really can't articulate in words enough how much jiu-jitsu and grappling and the community itself has meant to me. You know, getting to travel, going to different countries. I always like to make jokes. You know, I'm from this little town in upstate New York, Clark Mills. Doesn't even have a stoplight. I'm going from that situation to different countries to teach people South American martial art. That's always been really fun. When I went to Ireland to teach a seminar for the first time, that was an outstanding experience. Getting to train certain parts of California with certain members of certain teams that I really enjoyed. One of my best friends in the entire world is under Fabio Santos, and getting to see that style of jiu-jitsu. Getting to go to different places and meet with people I would never have met prior. Competing against certain guys who are, would be considered legends in the sport. It's one of those it's a whole community situation, as you guys know, and being able to live through that has really been some of the highlights of my life. Training directly under Marcelo Garcia now, who, many people would argue is the pound-for-pound best grappler, in recent memory or ever. That's such a crazy thing to think about, that I'm actually getting to do that on a daily basis. I see him on a daily basis, and getting feedback from him. It's an amazing thing. People, I guess, you could relate it to someone that's involved in basketball, getting to train and travel and compete with Michael Jordan, something like that. Or I guess in your guys' case, Canadian Wayne Gretzky.
Absolutely. Wayne Gretzky, we do love him. I was actually going to ask you, what was the hardest belt you had to wear around your waist?
Yeah, that's definitely purple belt. And I always make mention of that to guys in the gym. Blue belt, purple belt are the two hardest belts for a few different reasons. But purple belt, that's the most difficult. That's where you show you're serious enough that people have to, take notice of you, but you're still a punching bag for a lot of people. They still want to pound on you. They know you're coming up, and maybe a guy who's a black belt, who's a little older, knows that by the time you're a black belt, he might be on the decline, or his life might have changed, or he won't be able to give you the run for the money that he always used to. So they really like to pound you into the mat. And when you go to compete, the purple belt divisions, I don't know if you guys have seen these recently, especially the bigger IBJJF tournaments, they're like 60 guys deep, 60, 70, 80 guys deep. And you got to wade through all these competitors just to place. Not even talking about win, but just to even place. It's crazy. So that is always the most difficult. You're trying to prove that you're as serious as anyone else on the mat, even though you're only a purple belt. You're taking beatings from everybody, because everyone that's a higher belt than you wants to roll you, because they know you're good enough to train with, and it's always the most difficult to compete at, because there's always so many guys.
Thanks for making me piss myself.
Wow, that's just life, man. That's life. It's one of the best times, because then you really get to see what you're made of. To go up against all those crazy other purple belts, it's the best. Typically, that's when you get all these crazy 20-year-olds who, their entire diet consists of Pixie Sticks and Mountain Dew, and they slept 4 hours last night after they played Halo for 12 hours straight.
You just explained my night last night, so.
For the most part. Yeah, it's a great time. You should enjoy it. Revel in the fact that you're a purple belt for as long as you can, because the closer you get to black belt, or once you get to it, there's nothing but expectations from you after that.
Well, I've let down people my whole life, so it doesn't bother me. I was going to say something else about the purple or the tournaments. What was I going to say? Oh, yeah. So have you ever just went on an unbelievably long losing streak in tournaments?
Yeah, most certainly. Especially at that level. There was probably a solid year and a half at competing at the highest levels. I couldn't even sniff the podium. Wasn't even close to it. I'd lose first round matches, getting submitted with stupid stuff, that not taking anything away from my opponents, but things that, just better, and you just fall into the trappings. You're still making your way, learning about yourself a lot when it comes to jiu-jitsu. And, just brutal just brutal. You know, you win, you maybe would win, or you maybe have a good showing at a local tournament or something like that. But I never even counted those. I'm just like, ugh, whatever. You know, people go, do one of those, get your confidence back. But really, if you're a real true competitor, you want to compete against the best, and you want to do well against the best people. So unless you're doing well at the highest level, yeah, it doesn't really matter to you. So yeah, oh yeah, it's brutal. It's brutal when that happens, but for sure, probably a solid year and a half, yeah.
What has jiu-jitsu done for you outside of the mats?
Kept me out of jail. Kept me out of a lot of bad situations. I had mentioned before, I'm from a real small town in upstate New York, and if you're not cooking meth or street fighting or doing something else crazy or drinking as much liquor as your body will hold, there's really not much else for you to do. It really allowed me to have a sense of purpose. I tell everyone when I talk to them about it, if this conversation ever comes up, I tell them it's a common thread in my life that has probably kept me on the straight and narrow with regards to going to school and, you know, doing the right thing and staying out of some bad situations where some of my contemporaries that I grew up with weren't as fortunate enough to have, and they fell victim to some of that stuff. So it's really put me in a lot of good positions. I attribute almost everything positive in my life to the support of my friends and family in grappling. Without those three things, I honestly don't know where I'd be or what I'd be doing.
I agree. I think jiu-jitsu definitely is a life-altering martial art. Looking back, you know, now that you're a black belt, you might have, you know, changed some things coming up. Obviously, you can't now, but I'm just wondering, I'm curious, when you roll with lower belts, you know, is that a time to just smash them and use them as a test dummy? Or do you teach them when you're rolling with them? Like when you were at purple brown belt, was there too much ego to even let them get a sweep on you? Like, do you find now that it's a little bit different? Do you have any advice for higher belts rolling with lower belts? Or do you think it's wrong to just smash people that don't know too much?
You know, I think it all depends. You know, what exactly you're training for. What I think, if it is serious training and people are getting ready for something, say everyone's getting ready for the pants, I think it take no prisoners. You should be training as hard as possible. You know, go fighting like it's the absolute finals of the Mundials. You know, you should be going as hard as you possibly can. You need to take your beatings in the gym so the next guy that you face in competition can't do worse than that. You know, you need to feel it. You need to be doling those out, and you need to be receiving them. So you need everyone focused on doing the best they can. So if you're the lone man on the totem pole and you're just getting pounded, then that's just how it goes. It shouldn't be a malicious thing if that's the case, but I think it should be. I think if you're getting ready for a tournament, everyone should be trying to kill each other for the most part. Limited, you know, to no one getting injured, but you should be going as hard as possible. But if you're not leading up to something like that, I think you should be training with the respect of making it as beneficial to everyone in the room as possible. So if I'm going with someone who, let's say I'm going with a smaller female who's a purple belt, if I'm just going to mush her head into the mat for the next 6 minutes of the round that we're training, what benefit is that really doing for me? Probably not a lot. I like to try out different positions. I like to do a lot of different things that I normally wouldn't do, and just to get the feel for it, just to see how people react, see if it's potential to being worked into my game at any point when I have some more free time to drill it. I really think that there is a time and place for everything. It really depends upon what you're getting ready for.
Well put.
How important do you think it is to learn outside of the mats, more of like through books and DVDs and stuff?
It's tough because at one point in my life I had a huge DVD collection, and I lost it all to a terrible relationship I was in. She threw it all away. But I thought at the time it was a great resource. But looking back in certain situations, I think sometimes it was distracting more times than it was helpful. if you're training at a school that has a particular style, like right now I'm training, like I said, at Marcelo's, under his tutelage, everyone thinks butterfly guard, guillotine, north-south choke, things like that, crucifix position. It's true, but he does show a lot of other positions, so we're not just stuck in that, that handful of technique situation. We have different instructors, different training partners that have a lot of other things, but I know some other people aren't as fortunate enough, so when they're stuck in a school, I shouldn't say stuck, when they're part of a team that only really works X, Y, Z amount of things, and maybe the instructors don't have a larger scope of ability, I think books, DVDs, like MG in Action website, those type of resources are invaluable. But sometimes it could be distracting. If you really should be focused on the things that they're trying to teach you at your individual schools, because those are the things that really you can ask questions. You have a person that can give you feedback immediately. You try the technique out, say you've been trying it for a few weeks, and you go back to the instructor, hey, this wasn't working for me. What do you think I should do? So show it to me. Can I see it again? Watch me do it. You don't have that ability to do it on a DVD. You don't have that ability to do it with a book, per se. So I think it's really important that you try not to get too distracted with some of that stuff. And I think some of that stuff, too, is very gimmicky. They sell DVDs and books to get their name out there, and sometimes some of the stuff is filler, not all of it, and that's not speaking on behalf of everyone's DVD, but I think some of the stuff is what wrestlers can call clinic moves when they're teaching clinics. It's kind of really low percentage of ability to pull that off. Or you really need some high-level instruction to walk you through it before you're able to get just even the understanding of how to start it off, before you can actually do it.
That's a good point. I was going to say, there's so many people that come through Marcelo's gym. Do you have the privilege of getting in a role with some of these phenoms that are rolling through?
Yeah, I do. And it's a wonderful experience. Not only am I afforded the ability to train with Marcelo and Paul Schreiner and Enrique, who are the three instructors at our school, but I'm also very fortunate enough to get trained with these other individuals who are coming through, like Ryan Hall, who is part of the team and is always there and is an immense talent. A lot of the guys from American Top Team that come through that Marcelo was always, teammates with when he was still fighting or trying to fight MMA. We have guys who come in like I know I'm gonna mispronounce his name, and I feel terrible. Luis Acevedo, the former Pride fighter. You guys remember him when he was shootbox fame?
Yeah.
Yeah, he trains with us on a pretty consistent basis. Kurt Pellegrino, all these other guys get to come in, and I would never cross paths with the vast majority of them for any reason. But now I'm getting the ability to train with them, whenever they're in town or on a week to week basis, because some of them are there on a week to week basis. It's amazing because it really gives you, said before, a different perspective on jiu-jitsu is always good, and it always gives you an opportunity to see how your game is fleshing out and seeing how it works against some of these other high-level guys. And a lot of times, they give you a lot of feedback, and you get to talk about a lot of different things. They talk about what you did right, and you get to talk about what they did right, and you really get a sense of how your game is working. Because if you feel like you're able to get a little something going, just one thing, just do one thing well against one of these guys you've never trained with before, it gives you confidence about your game. You can take that, you can go into a competition, or you can go in training for a competition, and it gives you that extra confidence. I think that puts a lot of people over the top.
Would you say that since you got the black belt, you look back and you really didn't know that much until you became a black belt? Like, white to blue, you're like, oh my God, I can't believe I thought I knew it all at white. And then you get your purple and you say, oh man, remember I thought I knew everything. Do you just constantly keep saying that?
Yeah, it never stops for me, because there's times I'm just looking at something that anyone does. I'm just like, holy man, I can't believe I thought I knew how to do that well. And then someone shows me something, like, geez, and it's right in front of you. like a change of a grip or something. You're like, man, I'm learning every day, every single day. It's amazing. It's and I think that's what keeps people involved in jiu-jitsu, that jiu-jitsu lifestyle that everyone preaches to one another. I think sometimes it becomes cliche, but I think it really does lend itself well in this situation, because when you do see something that you've been doing forever and you learn a different take on it, it changes your whole entire scope of thinking about something, like learning how to pass when Fabio Jugel was in town, from a guy who smashed through anyone's guard. Gives you such a different perspective on things, and it's so much fun. You feel like you're a white belt again, going against something like a wealth of knowledge, like someone like him.
I've seen videos at Marcelo Garcia's academy, and the warm-ups they seem fun, and you guys play, like, I don't know, dodgeball and stuff. How important is it to keep things lighthearted in the gym?
I think it's really important. I think if you treat people in a manner that it's just very, very militaristic, I think people get bored with it. I think people get bored with any type of situation. I think if you're having too much fun too often, I think people get bored with that as well. When I first started teaching, when I was around a purple belt, I was very hard on everyone. I was very hard on my teammates, because I was so focused on becoming the best competitor I could be. I felt that was the only way to get the best at everyone. I felt like some of the guys who were weekend warriors, who were, just accountants or something like that, were just coming in at night. They weren't taking it serious enough, and I felt like they were wasting my time. So it's very hard on them, and that drives people away. But I've also saw the opposite side of that, where everything's joke, or everything's too easy going, and people get sick of that too, because they're not training as hard. I think that, but keeping it light is important. I think having fun is important. You can have fun training hard. You can have fun being serious where you're going, and laugh and joke afterwards, or laugh and joke after the roll. But I think it is important to keep it friendly and keep a sense of community within your gym. I think it's a difficult balance, because you have so many different people with so many different lifestyles. You're not going to make everyone happy all the time, but I think that Marcelo and the rest of the instructors and teammates, training partners I have there, do the most superb job of keeping it a nice mix of lighthearted and serious that I've seen thus far.
Sounds wicked. Daniel, if your jiu-jitsu was a movie, what movie would it be?
If my jiu-jitsu was a movie, I'm not sure. That's
it would be Dumb and Dumber.
Yeah. I don't know what's a movie with a real slow pace, old and slow. That's how I don't know. I'm not sure.
Madison County.
Yeah, Madison, some bridges in Madison County. Yeah. I'm not exactly sure. I would have to say something like Pulp Fiction.
That's a good one.
It's very bizarre. It's all over the place, because I've had so many different influences over my time, and it's always interesting. No matter how many times you come in contact with it, it's always interesting.
I think that's a great movie choice.
Mine is Choke.
No, well, that's solid. There you go. Just wanted to work on one thing.
It's bad for me.
You guys have never been down to New York yet to train at Marcelo's?
I have been there once. I actually got a private lesson with Paul Schreiner, and we went over half guard passes, and it was top notch, man.
I have not personally, but it is my dream to make it down there.
Oh, you have to come. Well, next time you come, let me know. You have to let me know in advance.
That's a deal.
Sure we have a nice gauntlet waiting for you guys.
It is the absolute
hot spot.
If I had to make a show about the top dojos in North America, it would be on there. It's one of the nicest places I've ever seen.
Yeah, well, our new gym's opening up soon. So because I don't know if you guys know this, but we've been displaced because we had a flood, and then we had the hurricane. So the one temporary spot we were in after the flood got washed out. So now we're in another temporary spot. But I don't want to give an exact date because first of all, one, I don't know, and two, I don't want to misspeak for anybody. But probably by the new year, we're going to be in the absolute brand new permanent spot here in the city, right in Manhattan. So you guys have to come train.
Done. We will come and train. Anybody you would like to thank, sponsors, any plugs, follow you at Twitter, whatever you want. Now's your time to just take over the show.
Defense Soap is one of my sponsors, and in all honesty, it's one of the best, if not absolutely hands down the best, grappling hygienic company there is. Not only is their products the best, but Guy Sacco, the man that owns it, is just first class all the way across the board. And he supports grappling tournaments from grassroots all the way up to Jordan Burroughs, the American that just won the Olympic gold medal, to the Marcelo's gym. He just supports everyone. Scramble. I don't know if you guys are familiar with Scramble or not, but the grappling company from Europe. They're one of my sponsors. All my teammates are Marcelo himself, New York Stand-Up, the variety of other people I've come in contact with over the years. I can't thank all the people enough that make my life so much more enjoyable by trying to choke me unconscious.
You gotta love those people.
Oh, and grappling industry, David Guzzi. He's going to bring that tournament to New York City, and he's one of the biggest supporters I've ever had, and I couldn't ask for a better person to be associated with.
Nice. What are some goals you have for 2013? Since we're coming up to the new year.
I'm sorry. What was that? You guys were breaking up a little bit.
Yeah. I was just wondering what your goals were coming up for 2013.
For 2013, some of my goals are I'm going to hopefully get everything sorted out so I'm able to compete in the Euros. Try to do the pans as well as the no-gi pans again. Keep my fingers crossed for the Masters Mundials, if not just the regular Mundials this year. And definitely going to do the Asian Open now that it is an every year event that the IBJJF is putting on. It's always been a dream of mine to compete in Tokyo, and the opportunity is going to be there towards the end of the year, I believe the last weekend of October. So I'm going to try to hit as many big tournaments as possible. I'm going to try to win as many as possible.
I wish you the best of luck in all those tournaments.
Hey, I really appreciate it, guys. I really do. And when you're in New York City, you have to let me know.
Absolutely, we will. And I like to end the show on you telling us, I like it when our guest usually tells us what's the best advice they have ever received. So let's end it on that note with you giving us that.
Best advice I've ever received with regards to grappling?
Yeah, let's go with grappling because
okay.
knows what advice you've gotten.
Hey, listen, I got a lot of good advice from a lot of different people over different stuff. Just want to make sure it's grappling oriented stuff.
Yeah, grappling.
Consistency is key to everything when it comes to grappling. You have to be accountable for yourself, and it starts with walking through the door. So if you're a member of a gym, your teammates rely on you to be there. Show up. Get better. Be accountable. Do something good for yourself. Be a jiu-jitsu fighter. That's the best advice I've ever gotten.
I love it. I agree with you 10,000%. Consistency. We'll end it on that note. Daniel Covel, thank you for being a guest on today's episode. The pleasure is all ours speaking with you.
Thank you to David Aguzzi as well for hooking us up.
Yeah.
I appreciate it, guys. Thank you very much for having me on. I'll
see
you guys soon.
Enjoy your night.
Thank you.
You too.
So, Gel?
Hey, that was very good.
Yes, sir. Man, this is...
Right.
You know what? 2013's coming up, guys. We're going to have a huge lineup again. I enjoyed talking with Dan a lot, so thanks again. you know what? I think we should bring it back to one an episode, man. I really enjoy the one person. They get to tell their whole story a bit more. We get to hear some solid answers. We're not rushing them.
Yeah.
You get the best out of somebody, you know?
Really extract.
Yeah,
And,
I felt like, you know, remember when we had Ken Promola on and we had to let him go?
Yeah.
Man, I really was getting in the groove and like enjoying talking with him. So
you know, it's funny. We asked some questions that are the same from previous, and man, people, their answers are so different.
oh man, it's just like
polar opposites.
Oh, exactly. I think jiu-jitsu answers are kind of like jiu-jitsu moves, man. It's unlimited. And I could hear the same question, me personally, certain ones I want to hear. I could hear the same question asked to 1,000 different grapplers, and I'll listen to every answer very keenly. Like, I want to hear what they say. It's very important. Man, I feel good right now. That was a nice episode.
It's a good night so far.
Absolutely. We're going to go do our post-show celebration, always at our non-sponsors. But, man, they should sponsor a second cup. I love you, man. That's where we're about to go. So, should we say it? Should you say it? You got to keep it going.
All right, guys. So, you know the drill.
Say it up. Oh.
You guys know. Hang tight, dudes.
Hang tight. Take care, guys. Thank you very much. We will have an episode for you next week.